The Estonian language, whose native term for the language is eesti keel, or simply Eesti, although Eesti can refer to an Estonian person as well. So that's why the keel, or language, is added to it. Is the third one and smallest of the so-called state language Uralic languages, which are official languages of independent states, the two other ones being Hungarian and Finnish. Estonian is distantly related to Hungarian, clearly closer related to Finnish, and to some extent mutually intelligible with it. However, it seems to use, at least in some areas of vocabulary, the so-called borrowed words more than Finnish. Its pronunciation tends to sound more staccato-like than Finnish one. More than one person has observed that it seems as if the Estonian language has cut or shortened Finnish words and then has added endings from foreign languages, especially from German. Here I'm to some extent paraphrasing the Book of Our Land, a patriotic and nationalist primary school reading book, originally published in the 1870s by the Finland-Swedish cultural activist Zacharias Topelius. Some 1.1 million people are identified or identified themselves as native speakers of Estonian in 2012. It is, along with the other two state language, Uralic languages, Hungarian and Finnish, an official language of the European Union, because also Estonia belongs to that organization. German was, until the late 19th century, clearly the so-called civilized language in Estonia, because of the presence of that strong, societally strong Baltic German minority, dating back to the Middle Ages, when the so-called Teutonic or Germanic knights or armed noblemen held power in what are now Estonia and Latvia, to some extent even in Lithuania, or northern Lithuania, at the largest. And even after they gradually lost power to Poland, Sweden, and then eventually Russia, their descendants remained socially powerful as aristocrats, landowners, merchants, and priests. It wasn't until the second half of the 19th century that the Estonian nationalist movement really took off, and these educated Estonians like Karl Robert Jakobson, or educated and culturally conscious Estonians, Johan Voldemar Jansen, then the poet Lydia Koidula, and others began to emphasize the importance of promoting the Estonian language and culture. The Estonians, until the 19th century, simply called each other, until the 19th or at least the 18th century, called themselves Maarahvas, literally the country's people or the land's people, and their language is Maakeel, or the country's or the land's language. There are many loan words, especially from German itself or Low German, which was the language spoken by many of these Baltic Germans living in what is now Estonia. And then later on from High German. Estonian is a predominantly agglutinated language, but unlike Finnish, it has lost vowel harmony. And then, of course, borrowings have come from Russian because in the early years of the 18th century, Peter the Great or his armies conquered Estonia, and then Estonia remained under Russian rule until 1918 when it declared its independence. And then, unfortunately, in 1940 it lost it again, becoming a Soviet republic. And then from 1941 to 1944 it was occupied mostly by Germans. Then in 1944 it was retaken by the Soviet Union and remained under its power officially until it regained its independence in 1991. And of course, in the recent decades, Estonia, like many other languages of the world, if not most, has borrowed words extensively from the English language. The front vowels occur exclusively on the first or stressed syllable, although in older texts the vowel harmony can still be recognized. Moreover, the loss of word final sounds is extensive, and this has made its inflectional morphology markedly more fusional, especially with respect to noun and adjective inflection. Word order, like for example in Finnish and Hungarian, is considerably more flexible than in English, although its basic form is still subject, verb, object. Northern Estonian and Southern Estonian have sometimes even been considered separate languages, and the most common form of Southern Estonian, Võro, is now actually considered technically a separate language, although it's closely related to Standard Estonian. The northeastern coastal Estonian is probably the variety of Estonian which is closest to Finnish because of extensive sailing back and forth across the Gulf of Finland in the earlier centuries. Estonian, like for example Finnish and Hungarian, employs the Latin script as the basis for its alphabet, adding several letters. Let's look for sample. Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Estonian. Kõik inimesed sünnivad vabadena ja võrdsetena oma väärikuselt ja õigustelt. Neile on antud mõistus ja südametunnistus ja nende suhtumist üksteisesse peab kandma vendluse vaim.